That's about as American as it gets, bro.
It's American.
Is this thing on?
Check 1 2 1 2.
It's fucking crazy.
They're invincible, indestructible, and he's living for like 10,000 years.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hunt for Greatness podcast.
Recording there.
Recording it.
Set that shit up, baby.
Oh, shoot. I don't know why I'm still on the Instagram, still checking on the iPad. But we got it on yours.
Get this thing set right. Welcome to the Hunt for Greatness podcast. Got Lewis T and Terrell Robinson in here today. This podcast is brought to you by Walmack Electrical Contractors. If you need to light your world, you call Wesley Walmack at 910-231-7679. He can do anything from light the universe to put in a can light. Paid sponsor of the Hunt for Greatness podcast.
Hey, try to hit go live on there again.
We're live on all platforms, son.
Except Twitter and Tumblr.
Oh, I'm gonna share it.
Snapchat.
I'm gonna share it to Twitter. What's Tumblr? The fuck?
I don't know, but it went down. Somebody said Yahoo brought it and it went down. I don't know. I'm not on the social platforms.
I'm gonna.
But Tumblr used to be pretty cool. Like it used to be.
There we
Is
go.
that better?
Yeah, that's good. That's perfect.
But I don't think my tongue can touch it.
Yeah, we're good, dude. This is trippy, bro.
Oh yeah.
Shit.
Don't mess up the
Make
chords.
sure this is on there.
You got the SD card in there?
Oh yeah, baby.
Alright, so.
Boom.
There's a serious delay on Facebook.
So Lewis, I met you through Breeze, right? Breeze.
Yep.
Breeze linked me and you up.
Uh-huh.
I can't remember what we were talking about that made him wanna give you.
Probably because I was working on the rotor recovery.
Yeah, that's what it was.
Yep.
And he was on the DVD.
Yep, he was on that. So, I'm going to switch this up.
Yeah, you can make sure you keep that mic, especially you, Godfather. Keep that mic close to you, son. And then
surprise you tonight.
and me and Terrell work with each other at Ashley Furniture, and I've been knowing you for what? 5 years?
Yeah, I came back in 2013.
And I was on the truck.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you left, then you came back.
Yeah. Because we rode on the truck together. That's how we kind of got to know each other.
Yeah, when I was coming to work part-time on my days off when I met you. We went to Raleigh first time.
Yeah. We were talking about cooking.
Yeah.
Yeah, you put that thing up close to you.
Yeah,
Bring it up.
Eggs and cooking pot roast with Coke.
Yeah, dude. That's my mama's recipe.
So you were telling me that. I tried it.
You did?
Yeah, it's good.
It was good?
Yeah, it turned out good.
Is it what's that cut of meat, dude? I can't remember. It's
London broil.
Nah, it's cheap. It's a chuck roast.
Mm-hmm.
Chuck, is that what you use? Chuck roast?
Mm-hmm. I use chuck roast, pot roast. I mean, I don't care. It's beef. So I'm saying.
Yeah.
You slow cook it, it's gonna taste all the same.
Yeah, I cook ribs in a crock pot. You ever cook ribs in a crock pot?
Not a crock pot. No.
Banging, dude.
Yeah.
8 hours. All you do is throw the ribs in, bottle of Sweet Baby Ray's, cook that shit 8 hours, dude. And it won't fall off the bone, but you pull it off the bone with your teeth, and it's so good. Simple.
Yeah.
You just throw it in there.
Yeah. I bought my wife one of those Instant Pots the other day.
What is an Instant Pot? I hear people talk about that.
It's basically a pressure cooker, a digital pressure cooker, basically what it is. But, she cooked like chicken and rice and everything in like 10, 15 minutes. And, it just cooks fast.
Really?
And it's done and it's good. Oh, yeah.
How's it cook? Air?
No, it's pressurized. Basically, so it's a pressure cooker. So you gotta put a little water in there, get the steam going and whatnot.
So it like steams it, instantly steams.
You ever use a pressure cooker, like old school pressure
I ain't never used one, dude. Never used one.
Your mom probably got one. She probably had a big silver pot on the stove and had a little thing on the top, and it start screaming and making noise, and then be real hot. That's a pressure cooker.
Yeah, it was all silver and it had a little
Right.
black thing on the top.
Right, and then when the steam started going, it started jumping and whatnot. It was old school pressure cooker. You know, my mom had so many of them on the stove, so she used to always do her beans and stuff like that.
What was your favorite? What was y'all's favorite thing to eat that your mama cooked?
You know what? My favorite thing was spaghetti.
Spaghetti?
I was about to say the same thing.
But you know, of course, you can look at me and tell I ate everything she put down on the table. So, it wasn't a plate I turned out, except for liver.
Yeah,
I eat liver.
I've never ate it. It's good for you though.
Yeah, well,
I used to eat liver until I kind of got old. Like my dad, my dad was kind of out the way you're from, Fayetteville.
Okay.
So when I visited him, he used to make liver, and then you got to that age, I was like, man, liver look like shit. Can I curse on this?
You can say whatever you want, dude.
You can demonetize you on YouTube.
You can say whatever you want. I'm not monetized on YouTube in the first place, son.
So, but still, like, and I couldn't get over it. I was like, man, this look like shit.
Yeah, because it's like gray.
but you know, I eat liver pudding.
You do eat liver pudding?
I catch liver pudding in the morning.
I really want that mic closer to your face.
You want to?
Is there a way we can do that? I just want it closer because when you turn your head, it sounds great in my headphones. Maybe one of y'all
What about
that's
that?
that's better.
That's perfect.
I can scoot this closer to you.
Yeah, if you want to, that's fine. Come on. All right, that's.
How are you? Are you comfortable where you're at, Lewis? Because this mic here, dude,
You mean my position in life?
that's
or-
good right there. Yeah, what's your position in life, dude?
I'm not comfortable, but when you get like I tell you, when you get comfortable, that's when things go wrong.
Don't get comfortable in life, dude.
So
Got to keep that drive, that focus.
I'm sorry. I don't think we've met when you work with Lex over here.
Yeah, me and Lex work together. Yeah, how you doing?
My name's Lewis.
My name is
Lewis
Terrell.
T. Hey, Terrell, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you as well, sir.
Love meeting coloreds.
Yeah, you guys have known each other for a long time, huh?
Oh man,
Probably longer than. How old are you?
What'd you just say? I love meeting coloreds. The
did.
fuck, dude?
yeah. It's gonna be-
Y'all known each other how long?
There's not a lot of those on the Hunt for Greatness.
Let's put it like this.
That's why I got y'all. I need some Terrell's the one that told me I needed diversity on the podcast,
That's
didn't you,
true.
Terrell?
You do.
Yeah, and then I was like, all right, well, I'm gonna get Lewis T on.
Yeah,
You're the
but you need more.
you're the
There's
first
more.
black dude I had on here, I
And
think.
I'm the second.
And you're the second, yeah.
I
And,
was before him.
and now I got both of y'all
I
together.
thought you were before me.
I was before him.
Oh, you were the first black guy I
Yeah.
had on here. Awesome. Hell yeah, well.
Because you were telling me about him, and I'm like, I know him.
Dude, our podcast was awesome that we did. Both of our podcasts were awesome that we did.
Okay,
Yeah.
this is me. I'm trifecta. This is my third time.
Yeah.
But first time in a new setup.
Damn,
in a
you
new
sound
office.
good. You
Yeah.
sound good on that mic too, dude. You're used to the mics though with your podcast.
I mean, I just don't. I mean, I've done radio. I'm used to it. I
You're
hate my
comfortable with the.
I'm comfortable talking. I'm a
Yeah.
shit talker. No matter.
How's your podcast going? Is it do you enjoy doing it?
Yeah. I mean, it is getting. Still haven't found my niche, so I'm just throwing stuff on the wall to see what sticks. The last episode, episode 6, was one of my favorites. We talked about what's a black movie. I had actually what we're going to talk about. I had the director of this.
What is that?
I'm sorry. Yeah. Good man, he's a smart guy.
Yeah. Oh, he's super
From a
smart.
good neighborhood.
I was raised right.
So the director of Wilmington on Fire, I had him. I had Cedric Harrison, who just did a TED Talk. I had Big B, who was
Oh, I know who Big B is. Yeah.
from Coast 97.3.
Yeah.
But the reason I had him on there, he's also on the panel for the Black Film Festival that was recently passed in March. And I had Chris Everett, the director of the award-winning documentary Wilmington on Fire. So I had them, and we just kind of chopped it up, talking about what is a black movie, like what makes a black movie.
What is it?
You
What
know.
does make a black movie?
I feel like, and there's a lot of people in Wilmington in the film industry. So when I put it out, I had and I sent it to a couple of my buddies, and they're like, "Oh, you should have had me on there." But to me, and a movie that is about a black experience, primarily black cast, talking about something in a black experience. Like them on the technical aspect, it's a movie that's kind of a black movie. Is something that's produced, distributed by a black company, black owned, whatever. So we just kind of talk about the different things. We talk about Tyler Perry, the good and bad that he kind of does for the industry, because a lot of non-black people, that's what they perceive black people as. It's kind of that. We talk about Spike Lee, just a bunch of other things. Talk about the film festival. But it was a good conversation. And then we just just dropped today, actually, got Grammy nominated producer Nicolay from the group Foreign Exchange. So that was really exciting. That's 2 parts. So part 1 just came out. So on YouTube now, search IMOLT. And we just kind of really talked about his career. With me, Nicolay, DJ Battle, and Kansai of the group Minds One. And we chopped it up about that. So just trying to, it's been an evolution. This episode 7. Some of the older ones, we talked about comic book movies, talked about if Apple purchased Sony, talked about, we had a guy that said the N-word and talked about the use of the N-word. That was a very interesting podcast. Yeah. For not the reasons you would think.
Yeah, well, I'm definitely going to check it out for sure. I've watched some of them, like a few of them, but I think the most recent one you put out will be pretty dope too. I like your setup. I like the way y'all do it. I think that's pretty cool how you got a tape. I think I seen it with table here, table there.
Yeah, but
4 mics.
Yeah, but with the cameras, you just see it. You can't tell us where kind of everybody.
Yeah, that's cool though. Yeah. Like you're not looking like mine. You're looking at the same thing.
Yeah.
Like it's not switching back and forth. And eventually, I want to have them mounted, like a camera mounted here, camera there, and then I'd have to get somebody to really get in here and produce it because it's too much. Like when I'm trying to talk to you and trying to have a conversation, like we could be going somewhere in a conversation and then something happened and then then my attention goes there and off of you. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah.
You definitely have grown, man, since the time you first started and whatnot. I mean, I'm really impressed right now because I mean, it was that one recorder.
Yeah.
Now I'm sitting there with your 3 mics and everything else in the room.
Yeah.
I'd like to see progress, but I want to get back to something that you said just now about what.
Bring that mic up just a little bit. I just want to make sure you're getting.
No. You said you made a mention. I got you. You said the N-word.
Yes.
What? Can you go a little more detail about that, or is it something you rather for people to see on YouTube? Or?
No, I'll go into detail there, but I would definitely go check it out. That was episode 5?
6, I think.
No, the N-word was like episode 5, I think.
You just did 6. You just did
7. Yeah, so I went, because 7 was Nicolay, 6 was what was a black movie, and then actually 5 was if Apple brought Sony. So it's episode 4 was the N-word. So I had, and I went through a bunch of different evolutions, but what the show ended up being was I had my friend Barbie. She's from France and lived in California and Caucasian.
Right.
And was also married to a man of African descent. We didn't even get into that. African American descent. We didn't even get into that on the show. Then I also had my friend Mo that I've done an interview with him. Black guy, military, he's very outspoken about a lot of things. And I had a guy, Mark Miller, Caucasian, who says the N-word. So all 3 of us are definitely not pro-Caucasians using it. But we, just had it, just had a conversation, like, kind of had it about it. Mark seemed like he might have been inebriated on something, so it kind of distracted from the conversation. And if you see the video, you'll see that.
Right.
It was we still think we got some good points out. It was fun. We also got like a little deleted part on YouTube too that we had to take out to salvage the video.
Gotcha. Okay.
I mean, is that the answer to your question?
No, I watched the video because I'm interested to see like what kind of things were said about it.
Yeah.
Because that's something that a lot of people that know me now, met me. I mean, I was one before that was throwing around like it's loose change.
Yeah.
Out your pocket, you know, but now I'm much more conscious of not going towards using that word because, I mean, once you look at the history of it and everything that was done with that word, like, why do you want to continue basically hitting this nail on the head, driving this nail into the wood when we're trying to pull it out?
Yeah.
Like, everything you're doing, you constantly beating it into the ground again, you know, so, and I'll just interested to see somebody else's views on that, see how they feel about it. Because I know some, you know, some Caucasian males that use it just as much as I see some of the, you know, black males use it, you know.
And that's kind of where I was coming from. What inspired me to that, there was a bunch of things that was kind of going on at that time. There was some girl, I don't even know who she was, but she went like Facebook local viral for like, I think in a bunch of her posts saying it. And at the time, there was a guy from Charlotte. He dropped, and I didn't even know he was from Charlotte because it just popped up on a bunch of my social medias. But a black guy from Charlotte had a song saying, "Let the white kids say it." And that was kind of, so I was like, there was a bunch of things that made me just kind of like want to do that, like see how what people think, and is it, I mean, is it the thing?
Right.
Hey, tap. Oh, shit, dude. Super loud. All right, tap your mic like this. Tap yours, Lewis. Should be good.
Okay.
Say something into it.
Say something into it.
Right. Say something again.
Say something again. Or something again, I'm sorry.
I just want to make sure everything's good.
You got me good?
You're good now. I fixed yours, but
All right.
I feel
Oh,
like
that
I
was
did.
good.
You were, but then I started messing with it. Usually I got everything.
Terrell, you smoke?
What was up?
I don't know, I can smell it. But I didn't think, do you smoke?
I just smoke with him, but I really don't smoke.
Yeah, you better smoke on him, man.
No.
Damn
Well,
it, I was bad at first.
Yeah.
Check.
You just said you don't smoke when you got on smoking.
No, he offered me.
Check. 1, 2, 3.
Something's up with it, dude.
Do I got power?
You got
1,
power.
2.
Something's up. Say something again.
Say, again.
Weird, dude.
Is the USB unplugged?
So is it anything or is it just low? What's going on? 1, 2, 3.
I'm just trying to figure it out. Usually I got all my mic. See, mine's like sounds great. Terrell, get real close to it like that.
Okay, I mean,
Yours is good. You're good.
So
what about from here?
Yeah.
Before I was good.
Right.
Yeah, I don't know what I did because I was trying to get Terrell's louder.
Yeah.
And I fucking check.
Did you turn the gain down?
See, you're good, dude.
Did you turn the gain down on his by chance?
Say something in here.
And yours?
Yeah, because I was sitting there messing, and yours sounds great now. But I feel like...
I mean, we can do this with one mic. I mean, I can unplug. I can take it
Nah.
off the stand.
All I need is one mic.
We can take the stand and hand it over his own, you know?
Yeah, you can put that one maybe in between us.
Yeah,
and
that
then
right
you-
here. Yeah.
And you take that one, the clipper. I don't know.
Nah, I'm going to figure it out. It's all good.
So you can't hear anything. Do you not hear anything at all?
Yeah, I can hear it, but I
But
think
it's just like low.
I think
Do I need to really talk really loud like this?
I think I can hear it in these mics, but not yours. Because yours is on, right?
Shit, no,
It's got to be on because we were just...
the light is on. Yeah.
It's one of these switches right here, dude. Just say check a few times, Lewis.
Check microphone check 1 2. Who it is? This microphone check 1 2.
All right, you're good. Terrell, you good?
All right.
I just see on those two mics, you gotta have them yanked up, dude. And on this one, I've never used it. You gotta have it turned down.
Okay.
I just didn't know, dude. I'm not.
So I'm good now?
Dude, you're good. You sound great. I just had to jack yours up, and I just didn't know. Because I'm usually sitting there, and I usually get right up on that thing and make love to it.
Because I don't feel comfortable like that. I feel comfortable like that.
Like, I can sit back on this one, and And, I mean, I can hear it. That's why these headphones are useful, because if something goes wrong, like, I can figure it out. But
Gotcha.
yeah. So that I did watch the Wilmington on Fire, and it was really dope, dude. Like,
let's start on
I definitely the guy that was talking about the propaganda, that part.
all right. So hold on. Let's bring people
Start
in.
from the beginning.
Yeah. So let's start all the way back over. Introduce us and everything.
Yeah, Lewis T. Terrell Robinson, son. Yes,
Hunt
sir.
for Greatness podcast, episode 97348.
This
You ain't first, you last.
yeah, dude.
Ricky
Yes, bro. This is episode 60, actually. So
60.
yeah,
Wow.
dude, 60, dude. I like to talk,
on
bro.
6. He's on 60.
I like to talk. Yeah, hell yeah. But yeah, Wilmington on Fire. Lewis brought me this DVD, and there's one guy that they're interviewing on. Yeah, that's the DVD right there. Y'all check it out. Lewis has got them on deck. Hit them up if you want them.
WilmingtonOnFire.com.
Man, I can hear you so good now, both of y'all. That's what I'm talking about.
WilmingtonOnFire.com. You can order it. Shout out to Christopher Everett.
Christopher Everett. Is he from, or is he live in Wilmington? He ain't from Wilmington. I can tell.
He's
He's from New York or something. Cause
he said it on the interview that
He
I
ain't
did.
from the South.
Yeah, he's from Laurinburg.
North Carolina?
Yep.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, he's got an accent, dude.
He's from Laurinburg. He went to Charlotte to school. Then he went up to New York and did some things on the interviews.
He's got New York twang, dude.
And he's in Durham right now. He's like so as I was saying, I don't know if this is going to still be in, but as I was saying before, I just did. So one, I got an interview on my YouTube channel with him that has a lot of information. But also I did a podcast. He's on episode 6. And he works for Full Frame in Durham. They do like film festivals for documentaries. So right now he's in Durham. So while he's working on Wilmington on Fire 2, and he's also working on a film called Grandmaster, he also works for Full Frame, the documentary place in Durham.
That's interesting. You can, dude. He's got a lot of talent.
Yeah.
Like just
Yeah,
what
that was his first project.
this Wilmington on Fire was.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
How old is he? Do you know? Kind of young.
Around Terrell's age, I think.
Yeah. So old as fuck. Yeah, all that, I'm keeping all that in there, dude. Yo, Terrell's got that gray in his beard, boy. That means he done seen some things, bro. Yeah. This guy, dude. This part, I just want to share this with any of the listeners in the or on the podcast, because this part was very interesting to me.
Laying the foundation before the storm. That's exactly what they did in Wilmington.
Of the state campaign.
All right.
Because if the Democratic Party could
And then I want to
take
know
over
y'all's
control of
thoughts
Wilmington,
on
then
the
the rest of the state might not follow.
propaganda.
So it was
I
multiple
know I just
levels
showed
of
you.
propaganda that were going on.
Propaganda is essential to any military campaign. Black people tend not to understand propaganda. And the reason why we tend not to understand propaganda is because the propaganda channels, the mediums, the conduits, the radio, the television, the newspaper, we tend to just treat as forms of entertainment. We don't see them as military strategy. When there's a movie depicting black people in a negative image, when there's caricatures in the newspaper making jokes about black people, we tend to just see it as political entertainment. We don't see it as laying the foundation before the storm. That's exactly what they did in
This is it right
You
here.
always seek to create a context that allows your military campaign to be acceptable. There's always context. You study Adolf Hitler in Nazi Germany. He had a propaganda campaign that lasted over a year before he began to physically oppress the Jews. He had to make sure that the national mindset had been conditioned to accept the extermination to come. In Wilmington, North Carolina, the same exact thing happened years before.
Dude, that's
Nazi
crazy
Germany.
to me. Like how he did that. How he compared Nazi Germany to what happened in Wilmington, and it makes so much sense. And how they were using propaganda to make it acceptable what was coming. Like, to me, that's the biggest tool they used, because they knew it was wrong, what they did. There's no way in a majority of those people's minds that they thought what they were doing was right. But the propaganda had brainwashed them into thinking that this wasn't wrong what they were about to do. Does that make sense?
I understand what you're saying, but I think it goes deeper. Like, I mean, to do a lot of that stuff, you actually, and it goes hand in hand with the propaganda. Mm-hmm. But you think of black people or people of color as less than. Mm-hmm. I mean, that you can go back to slavery with that. Like, to be able to enslave someone and think this person can do this, you can't think of that person as your equal. You think of them, to be able to do that. So it's
you have to dehumanize them to a certain point in order to make somebody your slave. Yeah, you have to dehumanize, because you can't look at them as an equal, like you're saying, because you couldn't make them your slave. You understand? Like, I'm agreeing with you 100%.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying. I mean, that's true. I mean, you have to. I mean, you have to be the one with the power, the upper person, in order for you to dominate. I mean, it still goes on to this day.
And that's what you were saying earlier about the propaganda.
Right. I mean, it still goes on to this day. I mean, even if you look at two sides, I mean, like I was saying, as far as how we as Americans are so patriotic and we so America, because that's what we're shown, that's what we see. Yeah. That's the things that the image they put out to us, America this, America that, even with products, buy American made products, this, that, and the third. I don't want unless it got a flag on it. So, and that's because that's what we've been taught. I mean, anything that's been used, any kind of media, any kind of books, anything that you read, it's all about shaping and molding your mind. That's all it's about. I mean, now a lot of things I'm maybe saying being my opinion. Some people may think it's opinion, but if you look into it, anything you do, you learn from somewhere else. And it's a pattern that you continue on doing. We go to work, we buy homes, or we find somewhere to live. We do these things. Why do we do it? Why do we constantly? Why is that the forefront of our mind trying to do? Is that because we feel we need that for survival? Because I can introduce you to probably about 10 people right now that I know personally that prefer to live in the woods in a tent.
Yeah, right.
But
that's not acceptable.
It's not acceptable. So our pattern that we keep reading these things, keep these things in the forefront of our mind. So therefore, keeping it in front of their mind, keep America the great in our minds. So that way, whenever we do anything that's protecting the soul, it's acceptable. It's okay. The same as he's saying what Hitler did, during the war. It's okay and acceptable. We need to get rid of them. We need to get rid of the Jews. They need to be gone. They need to be done. We need to have our own thing here. It's acceptable to get rid of them. It's acceptable for you, little child, to disrespect this old man because he's a Jew. He has a yellow star on his arm, so guess what? No respect to him. He's nothing. He's trash. He's garbage. Do with him as you please. You're pure. You got blonde hair and blue eyes. You're pure. He's not.
That's such a wild way of thinking, dude.
And it's funny because the one who made this propaganda put it out and said the pure race was blue eyes and blonde hair.
And he looked like me.
Right.
Brown hair. Or he had brown eyes.
I'm like, really? But, like you said, it's propaganda. What you want a person to think, how you want a person to move. Just like you take it, and let's not even get into it where it's going to be like such a racial thing and it may offend some people. But let's take a club scene, for example. If a DJ wants to move the crowd, he's going to play what he wants to play to move the crowd. If it's time to shut it down, he's going to play what it's time to shut it down. The DJ knows how to move the crowd.
He sets the mood.
He knows how to get it going.
Right.
So he knows what to mix, what to play at this point right here. Okay, I need to go and drop this. Then when I drop this, the crowd is going hype. Then I'm going to drop this right behind it. It's getting even hype. I'm going to drop this right behind it. And now it's time to bring it back down. So let me go and slow it down. So let me throw some Drake on real quick, kind of smooth things out. Let them still rock. Let them still bang. But let me smooth it down. So, so it's like, and it's crazy because in a sense it's kind of like saying that we're brainwashed, but it's not really brainwashed. I mean, the mind's going to accept and just spark those reactors in your brain. It's just like, hey, I like this. I really do like it. I may not agree with it 100%, but I do like it.
Right.
And there's a lot of, I feel like, from watching Wilmington on Fire, and then recently I watched a short that was done called Red Cape. So it's actually like a movie, not the documentary, but kind of like a movie, kind of based on some of those same events. there's a lot of hate, what we would call hating. I don't know what they called it back then going on too. So, or envious.
Yeah.
So like, I feel like, so yeah, the propaganda is a big part of it, but they base that on stuff that's already there. So it's like, I'm working, I might be doing better than you.
Like if there's a spark, they're going to throw gasoline on it.
So it's like, so people from, because it's funny, people from out of town came in to put gasoline on that fire.
Right.
But you say you're the local, I'm working next to you, I might be doing better than you. So, just from like normal stuff, no race, whatever, man, it's probably too new, but like the movie Us,
I want to see that, dude. That shit looks dope. Have you seen it?
Yeah, I've seen it.
Is it good?
Yeah, you should see it.
Oh, I'm gonna see it.
So
I love Key and Peele, and I love Jordan Peele directed it.
Yeah. He wrote it, produced it, directed it. Yeah. It's not like Get Out.
Get Out was dope.
Yeah, it's not like Get Out. It's actually, I feel like when he was talking about how America and everything, I feel like I have a lot of assimilation with that more, so I don't want to get too much away with it. But anyway, like in the movie, one of the characters, the main character, he's very envious of his white counterpart. You know what I mean? But it's more friendship. But but he have a boat. He want a boat, and it's like, so he went and got a boat. His boat is not as nice, whatever. But but sometimes those things can spark like envious, be more of a negative, and so you take that and be like, well, why is this guy doing better than you? You, the pure white man, or whatever you got to say to him.
Should have this.
Yeah, you should be doing better. He shouldn't be. You'll take something like that, and then you'll and just build on those already prejudices that's there, and the fact that that now you can use this as a way of getting rid of maybe your competition. So especially if you're like rivals, so like so you sell fish, I sell fish, but I'm a better fisherman, so I sell more fish.
Right.
But you're just mad at me because I sell more fish, where you should be figuring out how you can sell more fish.
I should be coming to you to ask you how you're doing it.
Yeah.
Or can you help me with my business? What tips can you give me? Like, to me, that's the mindset that you should have, is like, if you're doing better than me, help me. Like, because if I'm doing better than you, I want to give you the information to help you succeed, because there's enough money, there's enough success out there for everybody. Like, we get it fucked up because we think that there's only so much success to be had. And I think that's where the envy comes from almost, because I see it down there with the comics at the comedy club, dude. It's like they want to be the one, like they want to be the funniest one, which is fine. But like, why would you not want to? Because I had a dude just talk straight shit about me after I left the comedy club on stage, and like used it as his bit. And, yeah, he talked shit about me and my buddy and the podcast. And I was, I was pissed, bro.
Did he know about the podcast?
Yeah, because
you talked about it.
I didn't talk about it, but my buddy talked about it when he went up there. So he was just slaying. We left, and my buddy called me after, and he's like, "I just want you to know what this dude was saying, so you don't go up to him and act all buddy with him, because he was talking shit." But it was like, why do that? Like, why not just see? When he got off stage, I'm like, man, you did a good job. Like, I went up to him, I'm like, man, you were funny, because he's funny. But like, it's the same sort of mindset of like, there's only this much success, and like, if you have it, then I can't have it.
Well, you got to think about this too, now, Alex. I mean, we're talking about an era here where
1898
is just right around the corner.
Yeah.
So at one point in time, I was the conqueror. You were not successful because you were working for me.
Right.
I was the one with the glory.
So do you think
now
where
I come to this town and I see you all being successful?
So the spark you guys are talking about, do you think that's where it comes from?
Exactly.
Well,
and then that's what they dunk gasoline on, is that spark.
Well, that one. Because the biggest spark, I would say, was Alex Manley ran an article, at least according to the documentary and other stuff, and even the Red Cape. There was a senator, woman. She wrote an article just talking about
old white lady, first female senator of the United States. Yeah.
So she wrote an article talking about white women working in the fields next to black men being raped,
right?
All this stuff.
So you think the spark came from that?
That was a big. That was twofold. I mean, there's a bunch of lighters, but I think the biggest one, at least the way it's portrayed
in that era.
Yeah,
that's why Emmett Till was done the way he was done.
Well, yeah, I mean, that I don't think I've ever said on a podcast, but I think a lot of mishaps to black people or black men, it's funny, you can trace back to a white woman, and that's just weird because Rosewood, right. Emmett Till, right. Wilmington on Fire, that, right. but the woman, she wrote an article talking about how, it sounds like lazy, I don't know, I mean, from outside looking in, not being happy that they have to work out in the fields next to black people, and
she was a racist. Yeah. She was a racist.
Racist, but also, but see, I think people just use that, and it's more than racism. So I think yes, racist, but two, feeling better than that, above having to work outside. So it's like not necessarily laziness, but racist. Because like people just say. You can't just leave it at racism. Like people just thought, oh, they're racist.
Better than.
But yeah, they're too good to be. I'm too good to be working outside with these black people. You take. Let's go to something that's more seeker friendly. You take the movie Titanic. In the scene of Titanic when the ship was going down, the people in the bottom of it's poor, and this is all white people on this boat. So even though the class of people. They will rescue you based upon the class that you were. Mm-hmm. If you were rich, you got on the boats first.
That's crazy.
The poor, you had to wait. I don't care if the ship going down or not. You're not getting in this boat with these upper class rich people, regardless of your skin color. Back then,
that's such a good analogy.
Back then, it was even because today white people are white people for the most part, except for maybe Italians. Mm-hmm. But now that's even more blurred. But back then. If you were Irish, that meant something. Right. If you're not white, you're Irish. You're
right. They came over and did your service. I mean, the Irish they were just as used as slaves. They worked along in the fields with the slaves. Yeah. So you were looked upon as you were nothing. So now what this lady is saying is like, no, we just came from being on top. Now we're going to go in the fields and work hand in hand with them.
Yeah.
We were just sitting on the porch watching them work. We're not about to get in the field and work hand in hand with them. No, shouldn't do that. So what can I do to change something?
See, that's crazy that you guys bring that up because I would have never put that together. I just like she's racist, like saying some dumb shit. But it is that because it's like I'm better than you. Why am I sitting here right beside you?
Yeah, but she threw the racist little sauce on it to kind of ignite people. So what Alex Manley did, he wrote an article. Kind of combating what she said, saying that not only are we not raping women out there, a lot of white women actually are fond of men of color out there, and are throwing themselves at men of color, and and pretty much from the Red Cape, because I've seen the Red Cape a lot since I've seen Wilmington on Fire. So I can't remember if they touch on it, but on the Red Cape, they had like a secret board meeting. I think it was downtown. I think I've been in that place that they had. Well, the place that was depicted, but they had a board meeting, and the guy came from out of town, throwing the gasoline on there, saying like that. Pretty much, Alex Manley's article was saying that white men can't take care of their white women. You know what I mean? And it felt disrespected that he would even imply that white women would be interested or be having sex out there in the fields with black men. It's
right.
Like, but the senator put that out there, be like, of course you don't want us out there. The thought of that you might be getting raped out there. So it's twofolded that. So it was the woman putting that out there, but then Alex Manley writing an article in his paper that's no longer around.
Well, he wrote what he saw as the truth.
Yes.
And she was not anywhere close to here as far as like being. I feel like Manley was more on like the ground level. Yeah. Where he could see what was actually going on. But this lady's like somewhere else.
Yeah, yeah.
And trying to
She's probably in Washington.
That's what I was thinking. It doesn't say it, but it's like, okay.
A more credible source, a louder voice.
Like, you want the truth, you go to the mouth of the river. You want the clearest water, you go to the mouth of the river. And, it, you know, looking at it from not from a black-white perspective, but from a, like, get the truth perspective, you would want to take Manly's side on that because he's here. Like, he's on Market Street. His newspaper was, 7th and Market? 6th and Market?
Maybe,
it was like right around there, dude. And so he's like right in the middle of everything going on. So who do you think really knew the truth?
Yeah, and I feel like he was more worldly. So not even just here, but just around the South.
Right.
That stuff was going on there. Be you know, I mean, he works in a newspaper, so the people that work for him are probably one job away from working in fields and things of that nature.
Yeah, so they're right there ground level.
Yeah.
His whole organization.
Yeah.
But so the riots began, a lot of people I didn't know this about Wilmington, but the riots kind of began when
Massacre.
So the massacre, so I don't know if I got to the massacre, and that's about when I stopped watching it, but so the lady on Capitol Hill sent out that article, basically putting in the people's heads in Wilmington that the white people's women are getting raped in the field.
Well, yeah, but I don't think that it was Manly's article that kind of
set it off,
because I feel like that was national, at least Southern. Yeah, that wasn't like North Carolina or Wilmington specific.
And then when Manly wrote his article,
from Wilmington wrote his article.
Well, this black man wrote about our white women wanting these black men in the South, in North Carolina, where y'all used to be in the fields, and now no.
Yeah.
And this guy who's selling more papers than the Star News.
Right.
You know, that, like I say, it's always twofold. It's like, and that's, I feel like what Terrell's saying, it still goes on today. It's like, look here, but it's really here. So look,
watch this hand, but what are we doing?
So
like a magician.
This hand is saying, hey, this guy is talking about our white women. He's talking about we're not handling business, but then you got the guy who owns the Star News are like, and this guy's selling more papers than me. Let's get him out of here.
That same thing goes on, but like even with black people, it happens. Like with Al Sharpton, he does a lot of that race baiting bullshit. That like, look up here while I'm doing this, and really I'm doing some shady shit down here. I don't really much care for Al Sharpton, just because of the negativity associated with him and the race baiting and shit. Like, I feel like that's not the solution. From my seat, I feel like what he does is not the solution to the problem.
I mean, I'm not up on the latest stuff of Al Sharpton. Like,
he hadn't done anything lately, but it's just like what he posts and the information that you get, you don't get the flip side, like you're saying. It's the same thing with white people too. Some white people and politicians, they want to give you half the story. And I
feel like everybody on those levels, they're only giving you
most of them. Most of them. And that's why I want to do a podcast with y'all, because I feel like we can get more of the whole story. Like, from a perspective where I'm sitting, I didn't even know about the massacre. Had no clue. And what started it all, when I was watching it, they say they accidentally burnt down Manly's newspaper. So, and then after that, the red shirts. That was what I thought was interesting, is the propaganda kind of spawned the red shirts, which were the Democrats, like the hardcore Democrats. And they came down and they influenced, they intimidated black people from going to vote. So the red shirts would stand outside where you would go to vote in Wilmington, which was majority black. So, back then, black people, they're going to vote Republican. So the red shirts stood outside the voting booths and was like, we'll kill you if you go in there. Basically voter intimidation, which back then probably wasn't that illegal. Now it's illegal. I think
it was illegal. That's why it's a coup. That's the only successful coup.
See, I don't know what does that mean.
A coup means the power
overtaking the government by the people.
Oh, okay.
Where people basically by force
make it go how they want it to go.
And that's happened. That's happened in like Tulsa. I don't know if that was in Rosewood or not, but that's happened. What makes it the only successful coup is nobody came to change it. Because usually when the other places where they kind of overthrew the government or whatever, someone came in the next election or whatever.
Right.
The things that happened in Wilmington stuck.
Were
like
permanent.
The government never came and said, "Nah, y'all can't do this." We didn't we got no government support, no anything. It's like pretty much in the Red Cape, because like that was more dramatized version. They had the guy. They made the mayor at the time, and he was white, but there's a lot of black people in office, and I think that was another reason that brought people to attention to Wilmington. But he was white, but he was like a Republican. So at the time, it's so role reversal now. But they made him. They pretty much kind of almost it was like at gunpoint made him kind of resign.
Yeah,
and this guy from out of town, there's a way you could have someone vote and but not vote and elected the mayor, but not like votes. They're just like, hey, this guy
appointed, they appointed.
They appointed him. Yeah, but then, so yeah, it's almost. I guess it'd be the equivalent of like getting a vice president. So we didn't vote for the vice president. We voted for the president.
Right.
We got the vice.
Right.
But the difference is the next election we vote for the president. But this guy still stayed. Next time around, this guy still stayed.
Right.
It's like it doesn't change, and that's why it's a successful coup. So they overthrew.
I should have looked it up, but I didn't know what it meant.
Yeah, they overthrew the government, and it stayed. It stuck.
It's crazy.
Yeah,
man.
the funny thing about this though, man, all this information was actually published back in 1994. And nobody.
Is that book? Is that River?
Cape Fear Rising is the book.
Yeah, but I think Cape Fear Rising they made it like it's.
No, Cape Fear Rising is just pretty much where.
No, it is, but supposedly, because I remember. Shout out to Steve Backs. He told me about that book, and my friend James, and I haven't read it, but they made me aware because. Have a lot of ties to like Riverfest and stuff, but it's not the way they did. And I can't. What's the word when stuff is not? It's fiction or nonfiction. It was made like so it's not like it's not like a historic. It's not like it's facts.
Right. Fiction.
Right.
It's a fiction. So
based on a true story though, right?
I mean,
it wasn't. See, that's the thing.
But it wasn't presented that way. It is. We know it is.
Right, and that's the thing. They made it seem as if it was just a book. These are your opinions, your thoughts. This man's opinion and thoughts. This is what this didn't happen. There's no facts showing about this.
Right.
But
it is. So whenever this came about, I don't know who sparked this whole thing about the H4G riots and whatnot was going on. That book, you cannot check out of the public library in Wilmington. You cannot check that book out. If you want to read that book, you have to stay there and read that book unless you would have bought it somewhere and ordered it.
So what are it makes you think? What are they trying to hide?
They're trying to hide a lot.
Yeah, exactly.
Look at Wilmington. They were trying to hide everything about it. I mean, look at what Wilmington is today.
Wilmington back then, I would say back then, rough estimate maybe the way they talk about it, 60-40 black. It's definitely not that way now.
It was a majority black back then.
So,
yeah.
And that's why you have more of your blacks on the outskirts of Wilmington and your Pender County and your Brunswick County, places like that. Because when they flee, where they going to go? You got the river, you got the ocean. You can't go nowhere but this way.
Yeah, a lot of people went to Durham. Like that's what a lot of people like a lot of the affluent people. Because a lot of the affluent people, black people, they kind of got heads up, like their neighbors or whatever, kind of gave them a heads up, and they escaped. But they left their houses. There was schemes of they had things of. I should have really rewatched it before I came, but there was something they were doing with the deeds and the banks to take people houses from legally take people houses
loophole in the law, and they were
kind of like right now where the law is, what is it called? Is it the squatter law?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? When it's an abandoned home, and if you stay there a certain amount of days, you can take ownership of the home.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Well, there's some kind of
stuff like that.
But there was some weird stuff like there was a job that kind of helped with deeds or something, and they had hundreds of people they had more people doing that job than right now, and the population was way smaller. So it was a whole bunch of shady stuff that the people who came out of town, the red shirts that we were talking about earlier, they didn't have a plan. You know what I mean? They were just, they had their own selfish interests, whether it be I'm a racist or I don't like my neighbor or whatever. But the people from out of town, those people were thinking perpetual wealth for those families. And a lot of the people who benefited from that massacre names their own buildings, names of parks. They're like the trash. You know, like
Hugh McCrae. Weren't you telling me about Hugh McCrae?
Yeah. So all those people had a vision of, and those things. So it equally propelled the wealth of those families, as equally degraded the wealth of the potential and wealth of a lot of black families.
Well, ultimately, it was taken by force.
Yeah,
like the wrong way. It was started the wrong way.
Yeah,
like Star News, Hugh McCrae. Like, would Star News really be as big as it is, or the only like newspaper in town, had they not burned down Manly's building? Yeah. It makes you think.
Or even that. What would if Manly business was still here and running, and he could pass that on to his family and stuff? Because I think on the documentary it has one of his descendants on there, and it shows like the land, like it was right there on Market and Water, like that they own that property, like what that property is worth now.
It's the lady at the beginning, the older lady at the beginning is talking about her family owned all that. Yeah, so like all that stuff is like perpetual wealth. Like you know, people talk about like black people, like slavery's been over for this amount of time, and why can't black people be in more standings? But every time there's something to kind of knock it down, where we get something for ourselves. And I mean, you take our land, you know, we don't have any land. Right. And, you know, land is money. You can borrow money on land. You know, you can use that, and that could be perpetual wealth for your family. They don't make any more land, dude. Yeah.
So it's powerful in this country. I mean, the person with it's like the game Monopoly. Whoever owns the most property in Monopoly is the one who won the game.
Well, and it's fucked up, too, because if you think about it, like, okay, so I own this house sitting on this piece of land. This piece of land has been taxed by the government forever and will be taxed by the government forever. So it's like it's going to pay for itself 1,000,000 times over. That's what pisses me off, is because I have to pay property tax on a piece of property that's probably been paid for 100 times over. You understand what I'm saying? So like they own this. I mean, I really don't own the piece of land. You know, technically I own it. It's just like a bunch of loopholes, and like even nowadays, but think about 100 years ago, 120 years ago, how many loopholes there were that these people could just...
Or you just couldn't even... There's no records and all the other kind of stuff.
Dude.
Like, if you knew how to finesse a system...
A lot of room for thievery, dude.
And who was going to stand up to them is the question. Who was going to stand up to them and say you're wrong? I mean, who was going to do it?
Especially when we didn't even...
stop them from, you know, oh, this person's trying to stop us doing what we're doing, get rid of them. Who's going to stop them getting rid of them?
Yeah.
I mean, come on. We all know there was a law for murder, yes, but how many murders were committed that no one has ever been tried for, or ever seen anything?
A lot.
And there's no statute of limitations on murder. So technically, if you want to go back to this time, and you can pinpoint what was what, you got a lot of families that's murderers right now. You know what I'm saying? That's
the descendants of murderers, for sure.
Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Your whole wealth and your whole stature of your family was built upon blood. You know, that's what it was built upon. Because your whoever, great-great-great-grandfather, whatever he is, killed this man, killed this family.
Or ran him out of town.
Right. Ran him out of town, by fear, scared him, intimidated him.
Stole his house.
Stole his property.
Stole his job.
Basically, he obtained property by false pretense.
That's exactly what it is.
You know what I'm saying? So you intimidated somebody, obtained property by false pretense, and now you live in it, and now you just own it.
Yeah.
And you just pass it down to your whole family, the whole generation.
Yeah.
And each one of them has benefited tremendously and has become wealthy off of the blood that you caused.
Yeah.
You know, so I mean,
remember where you heard it first on the Hunt for Greatness podcast. We're trying to get to the truth, boys. I like it. Y'all are the perfect two people to help get to the truth on this matter, dude.
No, just because better, but
y'all are the perfect two people that I know.
You can have here right now to have your mind swimming.
Well,
wow.
Well, if
I enjoy talking about it.
Well, but if either one of y'all know anybody, I'm more than open to do podcasts. Like, if you want to bring somebody on, we can all talk. Like, I'm down with it. But I think you're the perfect two to open the door on this podcast, because it actually worked out perfect, because I got to do a podcast with you, then I got to do a podcast with you, and it's like, And in my mind, it's like perfect podcast would be with both of you guys.
Well,
Especially,
yeah, you said that from the beginning.
yeah, especially because when I did a podcast with you, I've known Terrell for a while, and I know how Terrell's mind works, and I hear what he talks about, and I know what he's interested in. And like when I did a podcast with you, I saw a lot of the similarities, and you're like, well, I grew up with Terrell, or I've known Terrell since we were little.
Yeah.
And I was just like, hell yeah, dude, that was it. I knew it, dude. I knew it from that point forward. But like, dude, the thing is, the reason I wanted to do a podcast, and it was your idea, and it was great for me to watch this DVD and do a podcast about it, is because I feel like, especially me being not from here and being white, so there's two things that are keeping me from knowing things like this. And I'm bringing my child up in Wilmington, where I'm not from, and I don't know the history of Wilmington, because I'm not.
I mean, again, I feel like this is not just Wilmington. This is American history.
Well, America was built.
North Carolina history, because like I said, it's just effed up that it's here where we are now.
Yeah.
But this is the only place in America that had a successful coup. And then, like, because people know about Rosewood. I don't know if it's because of the movie, but like people know about even Tulsa. You know what I mean? But nobody, like, if it wasn't for, a lot of people say if it wasn't for like the Wilmington 10, nobody would know about. It brought attention to that. Like there's a lot of stuff in Wilmington that's almost successfully brushed under the rug.
Yeah, that's
because I mean, like, because I did what kind of got me into this whole thing is a couple of years ago when I was doing clothing, I did a collection called Shell Island.
Yeah, I remember
based on Shell Island, and that was remnants from like Wilmington 10, Shell Island, so many other things are all kind of offsprings from the massacre. So pretty much after the massacre, they started going to Wrightsville Beach, and there was a and black people started coming back. They had an island called Shell Island. It wasn't even black owned; it was white owned, but it was for affluent black people. But they had to be ferried right through Wrightsville Beach, and so people I don't like that. I feel like they feel like they're just as good as us. So they burnt down the resort. Burnt down that, and nobody like doing research for that. Like because I did like I had like a Star News article, and like shared it, and like nobody even really, the attention wasn't even about the clothing because nobody knew about Shell Island, like that. Like people in my research and just talking to people that go to the beach, like some surfers, and like matter of fact, he was on my documentary, Mike, that does my clothing.
Right.
He said he kind of familiar with it because he used to surf. But nobody knows about Shell Island. That was like pretty much unknown. And that's more recent more recent than the massacre. That happened in 1926.
So black people, all I know is Shell Island Resort.
So no, that's based on, so there was actually an island that was off of Wrightsville Beach, called Shell Island. Right. And
Figure 8 in Wrightsville Beach.
Yeah.
Okay. And, yeah, I gotta take the boat out there. I know where you're talking about.
Yeah. So and then they had and it might have been McCrae. It might have been McCrae. I don't know. Somebody pretty much they had like a resort on there and other like little houses and things of that nature. I think went out.
It only goes an hour. That's why.
I don't know why I can't get mine to work. Probably because I don't have an iPhone. But they had a resort, affluent, like, your doctors or whatever from all over. It was like the Hampton, Wrightsville Beach as a whole, I think, was kind of like the Hamptons of the South. Mm-hmm. So Shell Island was that for black people. Gotcha. And you got ferried through, but you had to go through Wrightsville. Probably like, in my mind, you're going down that same road that would get you to the Shell Island resort, that road, because it's out that way. And what was funny but not funny, is there's like a big concert or something going on, so people away from the resort caught on fire. Oh shoot, the resort's on fire. Put it out, go back to what they were doing. Back on fire. There was an article that same day, the smoke ain't even gone out, saying that how Shell Out the resort is burned down forever. It's closed. Like the ink So before
Ink hit the paper while smoke's still rolling out the building.
Exactly. So that, like, again, people have a plan, and that was something like, again, that wasn't white. That was white people owned it. They were getting the benefits from it, but it was just the fact that you have some uppity black people that think they're just as good as us coming through, looking down at us.
That's a big thing I want to talk to y'all about. Where do you think that comes from? The we think we're better than you shit. Like, where do you think that?
Well, I mean, the slavery is probably a big,
right?
Like,
yeah, I just wanted to know what you
like.
It's no more for them. I mean, it's just like you go look down. If you look at it now, the way a person of great wealth looks towards a Hispanic person that works in the house to clean the house.
Yeah, so it's like a lot of
you don't associate with the help.
Huh? Why do you think that is though? Because I try.
Well, I mean that way he's saying when you take the whole color part of it, just the have not, that comes from upper class, like royalty and what do they call when, like, you don't necessarily be royalty, but you got high class. The high class not what I'm
upper class.
Yeah, just upper. But back in the days, what was it called?
Draw the blank. Yeah. Anyway, we know what you're talking. We know what you're saying.
But it used to have another word back in the day just for upper class as a whole.
Right.
Highfalutin.
Yeah. And then you have like peasants.
Yeah.
So you have people in the castle, and you have different levels. So
and that still goes on today. I mean,
and plus you got to think.
Well, all of it still goes on. I mean, not just that.
You got to think this country was built upon people that came from an area where there was a king and there was a queen, and that's where they came from, this royalty, and so they see.
It's funny that they're trying to get away from that,
right? They're trying to get away
and
from
then brought it here.
The same concept here,
but
but what's in you is hard.
Who doesn't want some free labor?
Huh?
No.
Right. I mean, the people that came over, you got to think it wasn't people that came over in the beginning. They weren't people that were poor. They weren't people that didn't have anything.
Yeah.
You had to be somebody that had something in order to come over here, because you had to get something to get. It wasn't like, hey, we got a ship about to leave. Anybody will go to a new country, come on.
You kind of had to be a straight savage to get on that boat. Like, if you think about it.
You had to be a person that was, again, propaganda. Again, because
the new world.
History, it was told, hey, you can go over there, you can make, it's new land, it's new opportunities.
You don't have to pay taxes.
And in religion.
You're going to make, you got freedom.
You can pray to the God you want to pray, because you had a king. Like, I don't know which, I get mixed up. I'm not a history buff, especially when it comes to religion, but I know religion was a big influence on America, so I'm assuming it was Christianity, because that's the big thing around.
I think it was Catholicism over there. I think they were mostly like Roman Catholic.
Yeah,
I'm pretty sure.
Yeah,
because I'm that interests me, like the whole mentality of, like, if you think about like what it would have taken for you to get on a big wooden boat,
Jesus,
and go across. Yeah, Jesus will do it, and go across a body of water with no map.
Right.
And you don't know if you're going to, with a barrel of food that you don't know is going to last. People getting scurvy and shit. Like, just thinking about how much of a, like, savage type of mentality, like hard mentality that kind of shit would take to take that chance. Like, you might die on the ocean.
Agreed. It was a mentality, the fact that I'm about to go in, like we say, I'm about
take
to
over. Yeah.
It's the same mentality that we have.
Like, it's the, because I mean, it's an explorer, so I mean, it's like, that, and then it's just, you got people that's got that mentality of I'm conquering or exploring, find out new and make my niche, because you could be doing okay in England, but you know what I mean. But you could be taking what you can do, and
you're taking a risk.
Yeah,
you're like buying a lottery ticket almost.
There wasn't farmers and cattlemen and stuff like that coming over here. The reason why they couldn't, that's why they had to go get other people to do it for them, because they didn't know how to do it.
Yeah.
They had to get the natives to teach them how to grow in this land.
Yeah.
But the thing about it is, you don't know how to grow in this land, so the natives try to teach you. You still are not prosperous on that, because you basically, you took it from them, but then you went back across the pond, as they say, and you went to this country. And you got these blacks, and regardless of whatever, how they say they're black soul blacks or whatever, that's a whole other argument. But then you bring these people back over here. Now these people cannot speak your language. These people know nothing about your culture. These people know nothing about anything about you, but yet they can produce your crops, produce everything you want. You don't know how to teach them how to do that. You think they had a training lesson on this is how you grow the tobacco, this is how you grow the rice, this is how you crop the rice, this is how you do this. There wasn't no training on that.
Yeah.
What kind of training is going to be? You going to take all these people, you can't speak their language, they can't speak yours. You didn't train anybody. They knew how to do it. That's why you went to them. Because you seen these people in this land, like, well, man, how they doing this? And you found a land that you can overpower because you come with weapons.
See, it's like ass backwards because the slaves were dependent on the owners, supposedly, but really the owners were dependent on the slaves. So it's like it's ass backwards.
The wealth and the substantial of the southern white families depended upon the work of the African slaves.
Right.
That's what it depended upon. If they had decided, if nothing prospered, nothing went off, we wouldn't be having this conversation right now today.
Yeah.
I mean, because, and like, you know, you mentioned about, you know, your boy, Mr. West.
Oh, I'm going to ask you about that.
His statement that he made, it was a choice. No, it wasn't a choice because it was done by fear. You overpower somebody's mind with fear, you can always keep a person, you will keep a person where you want them at.
Yeah.
I mean, because that's the same mentality of why people in certain organizations they in, why people doing certain things they do, because you got something that's overpowering you or your mind and keep you there, controlling you. Why is there so many prisoners in the prison? You got 20 guards against 100 prisoners. Why you still behind the walls in the prison?
Yeah.
Because you're scared of what's going to happen if you get loose.
It's a mind fuck.
Right.
It's a mind game.
And it's a lot of times technology too, because bringing it back to the massacre or riot, however you want to.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
I love it.
Something I want to bring up, and it ties into what you're saying. In the massacre, is the first time they like had a prototype for a Gatling gun.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah, black people weren't even allowed to own guns. So if you said you had someone that had like a Kanye West type of statement, like, well, why didn't they fight back? We did fight back,
right?
But you know what I mean. We throwing picks, pretty much farm tools.
You can't fist fight a gun, especially a Gatling gun.
Gatling gun, like the first
any gun.
Nobody even seen that before. It's like if someone came right now and had a laser.
Or like a sound, like something that put a sound out that brought us all in a fetal position. We can't fight it. I got a bunch of guns. You can't do shit.
You see somebody come up with a wagon, this big piece of metal mounted on a wagon with holes, and you see this big crank on it, and they pull this sheet off of it, and then they start what is that?
That's crazy, dude. That's like seeing a monster.
Yeah.
Almost.
So I mean, fear, like you said, man, fear is very powerful too.
Okay, so let me figure out how to phrase this question because it's important to get you guys. You don't have any kids, right? Mm-mm. Okay, it's important to get both of your thoughts on. But you were a kid once, right?
No, I was man. You asked Terrell. He know me. I'm always been a man.
So
boss baby.
At some point, all right. So, have you ever seen the video online of the white kid and the black kid, and the black kid or the white kid was like, "I want to get my hair cut like Dante or whatever his name was because I don't want the teacher to be able to tell us apart."
Yeah.
You ever seen that video?
Oh, sure, yep.
Yeah. So there's a white kid and a black kid, and they're like what, 5 or 4 or 5. Yeah. They're young, and the white kid went home to his mom and was like, "Hey, I want to get my hair cut like Dante, so the teacher won't be able to tell us apart."
Yeah.
And one was white, one was black, right? Mm-hmm. So at what?
You were the ginger too, wasn't you?
I don't remember. But I think that's racist what you just said. But
hey, the guy that grew up, and Terrell can back me up. Matter of fact, rest in peace, Cleano. But the kids that grew up across the street from me had red hair, and they wasn't white.
Really?
Yeah. So that's not racist.
Okay.
You're racist for thinking it's racist, right?
You did.
At what point do you think? Okay. At what point do you think that in our brains something changes for some people to think that they're better than other people?
You can almost go back to the original topic, propaganda, but it's in-house propaganda. It's what your parents teach you.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, babies I remember seeing something where the babies almost pick it up from holding them. The way you react, they feel how when you're holding them, how you react
they
to
can
certain kind of people.
definitely.
So it starts from those cues, but definitely when you start to really understand stuff, it's learned. It's learned from.
Okay.
It's
like that. I think I'm better than you. Shit is learned, is what you're saying.
Oh, definitely. Yeah,
Okay.
Of course.
Yeah, I agree because the video it tells you everything for me that you need to know just from that video. It's like we're not born like that. We're not born thinking we're better than somebody else.
Well, you think about this. If you look at the fact of as a child growing up, take me for example. If I was a type of person, even though I may have came from out there, middle class pretty much area, but if I always carry myself as if I was better than that, above that, and that's how I carry myself in front of my children, regardless of what I carry, they're going to grow up. That's going to be their mindset.
Right.
Because their thing is, this is what I seen my daddy do. My daddy always drove the best. He always wore the best. We only went to the best. We only associated with, he only associated with white. He never associated with blacks. He only associated with white people. And they always seemed to have the same thing my daddy had. So, and you pretty much blank out anything before that. I mean, because let's take a sitcom, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Yeah.
All right, let's use
Great.
that for example. There's many episodes on that pretty much shows just what I'm talking about. And I mean, I know it's it's a sitcom, it's a situation comedy, but at the same time, it's some truth in it because a lot of times they project the father, that's the lawyer living in a mansion of Bel-Air, successful lawyer,
Uncle Phil.
Right.
Yeah.
Rest in peace, Uncle Phil.
Yeah, for real.
You forgot where you come from, Uncle Phil, but his kids, Carlton and Hillary and them and the little girl, they think this is what life is about. What do you mean go do what? Do
but
dishes?
Will's from Philadelphia.
You know what I'm saying? But Phil and his wife both came from living in an apartment, things of this nature here. They basically showed them how how they struggle. Now his thing is, I don't want my children to have to go through that.
Right.
At the same time, you're teaching your children that something's wrong with that.
Yeah.
It's something wrong with that kind of lifestyle. This is where it's best at. That's wrong. That's not good. You don't want to be like that. You want to be better than this. So your mind think, well, I'm better than this. So if I see somebody in that state, I'm better than you.
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense.
With color, like not even to do it with color, because there was
that makes a lot of sense.
Got like two parts, kind of bringing up on that. So like one, there was an episode where Carlton got pulled over, and Will knew everything that was going to happen, but Carlton, he's always been in the predicament where pretty much you can quote unquote live the stereotypical white life. So
right.
He didn't think that transaction was going to go any different than he got pulled over. But I just wanted to ask y'all: have y'all seen there's like a video out? It seems like a guy's trying to pitch it where they're doing trying to do like a Fresh Prince. It's called, what is it called? It's not called Fresh Prince. It's called like a Bel-Air movie. And there's a trailer. If you haven't seen it, when we get done with this, I'll pull it up on the iPad. But it's like the Will Smith characters out, and he, the whole thing happened where his mom, he get in a fight, but it's like a more realized version. It's not the comedy. It's like some gang. Like he had a matter of fact, he had a gun in his bag. So some gang members was going to try to run up on him, like a ball actually hit somebody. And it wasn't even him that did it. It was somebody else, but they blamed him. He stood up, and then the cops ran out, and then they had a gun in his bag. And so he gets shipped out to Bel-Air. And it's a complete, it's so funny. It's the same setup and premise, but a complete different take on that TV show. And I think he's trying to like pitch it and get
that sounds interesting, man.
It is. You'll find it real interesting because it's like that.
I love Fresh Prince.
Yeah,
I mean, it was a great show. It really was.
Good
show. I mean, this whole topic, man. This is, you can't cover everything in one setting.
Yeah,
especially if we go and rambling talking about Fresh Prince.
Yeah. I mean, but your analogy was on point. Though. your analogy was on point, like how they were raised in a house with money and never knew the struggle.
Right.
But Will knew the struggle.
Right.
And when he came and like when Carlton got pulled over, Will knew what was going to happen because he had been in the struggle.
Right.
Is the thing. And I just really like that analogy, dude, because everybody's seen Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, and
But it's just so many different aspects of things when you want to talk about, because it's like, to me, you got history, you got black history. You know, they both run together, but they're both totally different.
Yeah.
You know, because like I said, I made this comment to you before. I don't live now, but I grew up in a household where my parents lived through the civil rights era. My parents lived pre-civil rights, post-civil rights.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, my mother worked at a place doing the same job as a white woman. She was only making 40 cents an hour. This woman making $1.40 an hour.
That's crazy.
Doing the same job. Why? Because she's black and she's a female. You know? And at the same token, my mother got a job at UPS because she was a black female. You know, when they had to meet a certain criteria at that time. You know, when affirmative action. So, and it's like, when we talk about these things, we teach these things. I teach my kids this all the time. You know, I let them know. I mean, you don't have to, what you see, what the propaganda now of what predicts black is not what it is. You know, it's not.
Give me an
it's
example.
Not what you're seeing right now.
Give me an example.
You know, far as what you're seeing as, you know, let's take, I don't want to say hip hop, rap culture. I really don't want to say that because it's not everybody in it, but majority.
Right.
You know, I grew up doing it. You know, let's say sagging, let's say talking, some of the certain things you say, a certain way we treat our women. Yeah, it started during our era, you know, but now it's just gotten like out of hand.
Right.
Well, I wouldn't even say like I would say the drug culture, that the stuff that's promoted. You know, like you know, when I grew up. When I was younger, hip hop, and I don't want to be like the old guy. Like not even like my music's better than them, but just not the quality of the music, just the subject and the balance. So in the '80s, late '80s, you had even the gangster rap. You know, like NWA had social commentary about what's going on in the street and stuff. But now a lot of the music that's popularized, and there's a balance. You have party music, you have music that's conscious, but at that time it wasn't popular, so nobody paid attention. It's like whatever you people are doing and whatever. But now that it's quote unquote pop music, the stuff the stuff that is promoted is, you know, misogynistic. Is very use drugs, not even sell. We went from selling drugs to better ourselves to using it. Right. But when, you know, me and Terrell grew up, you know, using drugs, that was, being like, you didn't want to be the fiend. The crackhead was, you know, was negative. Now it's cool to be high.
Yeah, looked down upon.
Yeah. You know, like so it's cool to be an addict.
Right.
Yeah.
It's cool to do drugs. Right. And that's what I was saying. Like the things, you know,
and even television. I feel like television promotes a lot of. I mean, I was having a conversation with one of my friends. I used to be my partner in the flea market. I used to work at Starway Flea Market.
Remember that?
Yeah,
sure did.
But that was like a multicultural experience, and that kind of brought to my attention that, and a couple of classes in college brought to my attention that Black Americans probably have the worst PR in the world. And I think a lot to do in America, the powers that be, but probably the lowest denominator person. Perception-wise, in the world, which is ironic and funny because Black Americans have the biggest influence in the world through music, sports, whatever. The most famous, the probably the two most famous people in the world, next to and that's changing now. More than what I'm about to say, it's probably Michael Jordan is one of the most recognizable people in the world. And probably Michael Jackson, two black men.
Definitely Michael Jackson.
Well, LeBron James too.
And now LeBron James. You know, back in the day it might have been something like Gandhi or something, but you know,
well, in America,
no, I'm talking about in the world.
Yeah.
No, people in the
Well,
world.
Michael Jackson was like world renowned.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
people know Michael Jordan is one of the top athletes
Ever.
in the world.
Ever.
So
In any sport.
Yeah, like, and you know, he's still in the you got to think about the time. So that he's been active, and you know, in the claim. So, but so with music, sports, like I said, black people are the most influential. Like they do hip hop. Hip hop is big in every, you know, is big in London, China, Japan. They love it.
Mm-hmm.
They love the culture, but hate the people that's providing it.
Right.
You know, like people that, you know, like you, me, whatever. They might view Mexicans as like a second class citizen or lower.
Mm-hmm.
You know, but Mexicans view black people as a second class citizen or have a pre-thought. And I'm not just, I'll say people Spanish, because a lot of people are not even from Mexico. They're from Honduras, whatever.
Puerto
but
Rico.
I said, not really in North Carolina. There's not a lot of Puerto Ricans. But Hondurans are big. And I mean, I've done Latin nights. And like I said, in the flea market, there's a lot of people of Spanish culture that comes in, and you know, talk to a lot of people. But even other people of black descent look down on black Americans, you know, like you know. So it's funny, like. So I mean, when I'm talking about people of color, I'm talking about specifically black Americans. Probably have the worst PR. No, I'm pretty sure, not even probably, the worst PR in the world. You know, you have someone from an island or whatever. They don't want to. They're Jamaican. They're Haitian or whatever. They don't want to be, or whatever island they're from. They don't want to be. I've heard of black people from non-American using it, talking about a black person from America as the N-word.
Right. Because the true definition of the word is a person of ignorance.
Yeah.
So and they're like, I'm not that, and you know, no, because it was a teacher that was telling me the story, and they was talking about with their friend that was from, I can't remember which island they were from, and they was like, oh, they said something about a black person, and the girl was like, but you're black. He's like, oh no, I'm from wherever, whatever. I'm not like them.
Right. Well, even the African person do the same thing.
Yeah.
I have heard that before.
But I also feel that probably number two, in a different way, Africa has the next worst PR, because you know what I mean. You think of Africa as this impoverished land, where it's one of the richest countries of resources that they are. But there's a lot of things to keep Africa from being a great powerhouse of the country that it can be. Even on the maps, if you look at a map, Africa is big as fuck. You know what I mean? But they make Africa look like it's small, but Africa, it's like the Texas of the world. You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
you can fit I saw this thing. You could fit like 100 countries. The biggest countries inside of Africa. I saw a map of Africa, and it showed the United States and how small it was. And
but if you look at it, you know what I mean? It's like a mental thing. And it's like, and you also, it's just so many, like you said, propaganda and programming. Like, people don't even look at Egypt as part of Africa. You always look at it as something else.
Right.
Like,
it's separate.
Egypt, the pyramids and stuff, that's in Africa.
right there.
Yeah.
They asked me, could I name how many countries in Africa could I name? The first one I said was Egypt, and then Libya's in Africa, right? Yeah, and then I said Ethiopia, that's in Africa, and then South Africa is part of Africa. That's a country in there, but that's all I knew. But I knew Egypt was part of Africa. I mean, people think it's Middle East just because it's right there on that's the Fertile Crescent. We all came from Africa. Every human being alive, we originated in Africa. So most of the time when you send off like if I send my spit off to one of those ancestry websites, you would, even white people, like somebody as white as me, will have African in them, because we all came from there. We're all of African descent, which is crazy when you think about it. And like, you see somebody with as fair skin as mine, and it's like, how did that happen? How do we all speak different languages? it's just crazy to think about. Is that where some of the division comes in? Like, you look different than I look. You speak a different language than me.
That's the first division. Yeah. That's the beginning.
Yeah. So
it came from even just tribes. You know.
Yeah.
Like, you know, you're from a different tribe.
Right.
You know, my tribe might be we might be around the river, and we have our resources where you might be something more with
In the mountains.
mountains or something. You know, the Caucasus Mountains.
it makes you think, like, why did it? Because even from the start, it was almost like violence was the answer almost. You know what I mean?
Violence has always been that.
Yeah, and it's like even from the beginning of time, like the Aztecs sacrificed their own people. You know what I mean? They would behead their own people as a sacrifice to God. And it's just crazy. Like, that's the type of shit I'm interested in. Like, I've read a few books about it, and it interests me, and it's just cool. Like, because I don't know a lot about my culture. I don't even know what I am really. I know my great granddaddy was Scotch Irish. Like, that's pictures of my great granddaddy and my granddaddy. That is my great granddaddy, the one that looks all scared and crazy looking, and the little baby is my granddaddy.
The baby.
Yeah, little baby's my granddaddy. But see my great granddaddy on the right there, the one you're looking at. He had really dark skin, but he was like, his skin was like dark, like leather, like a baseball glove almost, because he worked out in tobacco fields all the time. That's what he did growing up. But it's just cool. Like, that's why I like listening to you, Terrell. Like, at work, like, I'll ask you questions like, what's your perspective on a certain issue? Because, like, you know a lot about where you come from, and you know a lot about the history of Wilmington, and like your parents, like what they went through. And like, dude, that's really interesting to me, because I don't remember a whole lot of my parents telling me about them growing up. Right. You know, probably because a lot of it's shameful. Like, a lot of that history is shameful, you know, and like probably what some people did, it's not something they want to share with their children. You know what I mean? Like, especially when you think of the white people and what they're associated with in history, it's like not something you're really proud of for the most part. You know what I mean? Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So like, it's interesting when I have a friend like you.
That's the reason why this has not been talked about until 2000s, mid 2000s.
Yeah.
Of what happened back in 1898.
That's crazy. 120 years ago.
And you take North Carolina history in school, in the public schools, in Hanover County, which is in Wilmington, never mentioned.
That's bullshit,
they don't talk
dude.
about it, but they talk about slavery. They talk about having a slave. Even right now to this day, in the school system, they're reenacting slavery right now in the school system.
So do you think,
this
all right,
is a game that they're playing.
So you teach your kids about the full circle of history.
Right.
So do you guys think that that's where the solution lies? Like, if there is a solution, if there is some sort of solution, do you think it lies in how we teach our young people?
What are we trying to solve?
Like, the issue of like being able to work together and not looking down on another person because they don't look or sound like you, or because they're from a different place.
Those are all. I mean, y'all two work together.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? You didn't know anything about that.
Yeah.
So that's not. It's because the people who the people that's like the people who justify like cops killing like unarmed black people, the people that that look down or devalue like, so either one, so it comes from I feel like a lot of things, so I don't think there's no easy answer. One, it just comes from like usually they don't personally know any black people.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
So because you know, and
it's easy to dehumanize somebody when you don't know anybody who looks like them.
Yeah. So and then you don't have those experiences,
right?
So you assume if you have nothing but positive experience with police, and you know these are the people that you pay to protect and serve. You know, it's. I mean, I know from the opposite side. It'd be terrifying to think that this could happen, because I mean I know a lot of times I'm terrified to just think that I could be murdered and nothing could be done about it. There might not be any
justice.
Justice.
Yeah.
Anything that happened,
Right.
Ramifications is the word I was looking for it. So to have that thought is like mind blowing.
And that's white privilege that I don't have that thought, right?
Part of it,
yeah. I think that's a big part of it.
Yeah, but I mean
that I don't have to worry about really getting murdered by a police officer.
I mean, you could. You got tattoos.
Yeah, I mean, I've been harassed by the police, but I was doing the wrong. I was doing a bunch of bad shit.
I think, I don't know if we talk about it on the podcast, but I remember you talked about Terrell and white privilege, but I think Trevor Noah brought it up, put white privilege, wrapped it up the best way to understand.
What did he say?
He said he equated it to golf. And it's like we're playing it, it's a handicap. Yeah. I'm trying to think of how he said it. But it's pretty much kind of bringing it, and he talked about the whole land thing. So it's like the handicap, is because to make the game even,
more fair.
Yeah, exactly.
So the higher your handicap. So if I'm playing golf with you, and you're not that great, I'm gonna have a higher handicap. To make it more even. Where
so it's like in life, like your family had land and whatever, and that mine didn't, and that is the handicap.
Right.
I think he was talking about. I think he was talking about that in reference to reparations.
Right.
Because that for some reason, and I'm not into politics, but that's a new political thing. I guess a lot of the Democrats are trying to, hey, we're going to do reparations or something. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not. I'm definitely not a political guy.
Right.
But Trevor Noah was, look it up. I'm sure he was on the show Comedy Central. But he was talking about white privilege, and he equated it to that handicap in golf. His words was definitely more eloquent than mine.
Yeah. Yeah, I like Trey. He's pretty funny.
Yeah.
I definitely think that some of y'all's, definitely some analogies that I heard, it makes sense to me, and I don't think there's like one easy solution. I think that a lot of shit on social media that we see really adds gasoline to the spark that's still there in some people, and it's like, it's a lot of the social media is brainwash. Like it's like trying to brainwash you into, like it was trying to brainwash me into thinking that all policemen are bad, or brainwash me into thinking that these killings are justified, or whatever the case may be. Like if you read, like we were talking about earlier, if I read enough tweets from the same type of people, I'm gonna eventually. That's gonna be my opinion. Unfortunately, that's
why. Because I try to get people to just question. Because a lot of people that just exclusively, I've heard from a lot of people that I was just like as a experiment started. People who normally don't watch Fox News start watching it, and it's just like the message that they send. It might be completely different or tweaked versions of the other one. And then I'm, like I said, I'm not political, because my friend, one of the friends that said that, I was like, how do you know what you're watching is not the same version of that? Exactly. Like, how do you know? Because either one, if Fox is so far here and it's so far BS, how you know what you're saying ain't so far BS on the other side?
Yeah.
Like I feel like a lot of times the answer's somewhere in the middle. Yeah. And who knows? Like, is CNN the middle, or is NBC the middle, or if Fox is, I guess, the right, and is CNN the left?
Yeah. To me, this is the middle. Yeah. Like me talking to you and listening to you, we're people living in the same fucking world. And, like, this is the middle. Like, I'm not going to get the truth from the TV. I'm going to get my truth from you and, like, experiences. And then I can gather different things and kind of have, like, different perspectives from actual people that aren't surrounded by 50 people with lights on them telling them what to say.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like I'm not going to get the truth from the TV. You know what I mean? Like,
you're gonna get what they want you to hear.
I feel like this is the middle.
Yeah.
It's all marketing. That's what they're doing.
Yeah.
I feel like you talking to her and her saying that to you, you're getting into the middle. Like you're the truth. Like we are the truth. Like we talk about shit and we can disagree with one another, and that's fine. We can still be friends after that. Like to me, that's the truth. Like, you know, I don't know how to put it other than that kind of, but I feel like the only way you really get to the truth is by living life and doing things for other people and getting to know new people and like trying to maybe listen to them, even if you can't see things the way somebody else sees it. Just trying to listen for me does a lot. Like if I see somebody and I talk to them, or you know how when you meet people and you can tell they just want to talk, they don't have anybody to talk to.
Yeah.
Like to me, that's the most sad shit. Like I'll go in an old person's house and they'll just start talking, and they just want somebody to listen to them.
That's it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like I might not agree with anything they're saying, but just to me, this is the truth. Like this is how I get to the truth. So like you guys coming over here to do the podcast and talking about Wilmington on fire and telling me about these things that I didn't know about, like I had no clue. And then it puts it, we speak through the microphone and it puts it out there for the world. Like I may not have 1 million viewers, but if somebody hears it and they share it or whatever, or tell somebody else about it, it could change their life and change their perspective. Because just by me talking to y'all, like it's gonna make me raise my son a different way. Then I didn't know the whole truth. So how can I share that with him if I don't know it?
Yeah.
You know, so to me that's important. A big reason why I started the podcast, because I want to know different people's perspective from their walks of life. Because empathizing has always been a hard thing for me. Like being able to feel for you and see where you're coming from, it's always been hard for me because I've always been a selfish person and like real hard-headed and like don't want to see it any way but my way, like child type shit, like a small child, like how their mentality is. That has been my mentality until I was like 25. So like I'm trying to get out of that, the closed-mindedness and like seeing things one way, because there's a million ways to see something out there, dude. And like I feel like the truth for you might not be the truth for me, but when you talk about your truth and I have my truth, it kind of helps us maybe meet somewhere in the middle. Or I might see one small thing differently than I did before we started this conversation. So like for me, I don't know, dude. I'm so glad we did this podcast. And I could do 10 more podcasts with y'all. Like really, dude. Like I really enjoy it. Like it's awesome. And it's cool that you guys will come out and like talk about this shit that you know and you were raised on and the things that you were brought up on and you learned growing up. Like that's very beneficial to me and probably everybody else. Most of the people that'll listen to this, it'll be very beneficial.
Some people probably disagree with some of the things you said, but
that's fine.
I mean, truth is truth. I mean, history is history.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So, and I mean, it's like you said, I mean, that's pretty much, I think, a solution. Like you said, I mean, people got to be willing to talk about it.
Yeah.
You know, that's a solution to it. I mean, it's not a fact of just
people you got to be willing to kind of circle back to what you were saying. Like I was saying that not knowing black people, but the person got to be willing to listen to the other side.
Yeah, dude. And that's what I feel like this podcast is all about. Like it's us, me, and all my listeners, like being able to hear somebody that they might disagree with some things, but like that's good. I'm glad you disagree with it, because then you can open your mind up to something that might be new to you. Right. And it might essentially change who you are as a person, which is the most beautiful thing about it. You know what I mean? It's like one small thing I hear from somebody could radically change who I am as a person. And being open-minded enough for that to happen is difficult for some people, and it was for me. And now it's getting a lot easier for me to listen and like try to see things from somebody else's shoes. You know what I mean? Like it's hard. Like nowadays they want division. They don't want us to talk to each other. They don't want us to see things. They don't want us to empathize. They don't want us to love. And social media is such a place where all that stuff happens. You know what I mean? It's social media, and it's supposed to be like connect everybody, but it disconnects us so much from reality and conversations with real people and like talking to you about your life and like what are you doing? You know, genuine concern for another human being. It disconnects us from that, man. And so I think that it's so dope, man. Like every time I sit down and do a podcast with somebody, like something happens. And I just I feel like when we get done, I'm gonna feel good. I'm gonna be like, dude, that was like I feel good, and I see you every day.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. So it's just cool. Like it brings a different dynamic to it. You know, like having a conversation with somebody, and we ain't been on our phones the whole time.
Yeah, I mean, I prefer to talk about stuff like this, man. I mean, this is things that I like to talk about because, like you said, because I want it to be known. I like for it to be known, but I purposely would like for it to be known within the black community because I think this is missing from our community.
Oh, it's definitely missing from our community.
The generation now that's behind us, they're not hearing any of these things. They don't know any of these things, and that's the reason why some of the things are happening the way they're happening. Because, I mean, how do you go from, if you look at the cycle of the African American in this country, we came as slaves. We went from slaves to we went to service. We went from service to now we're distinguished. And we went from being distinguished to now we're going back down. We start doing that slope back down again. You know, I mean, you got to think about it. In 1960s, there was a black male that was sitting in the White House talking with the President of the United States. There were multiple blacks that were doing things and made a difference within the country on the federal level of the government. Then it went to the state level. There were things that was in place to keep blacks suppressed, keep them down, keep them wherever they're going to be at. They made these laws. These things were changed. That didn't just come about by being mad, fighting, doing this, that, and the third, fighting against each other, shooting each other, killing each other. You know what I'm saying? Like, I say to people all the time, why is it that I feel more comfortable walking through Monkey Junction at night at 1 o'clock in the morning versus me walking down Princess Place Drive at 1 o'clock in the morning?
That can also go back to income too, though. Not just with a race.
I mean, but I'm saying, why is that the case? Why should I feel uncomfortable amongst my own people?
But again, okay, I can flip because I think that's more so with income necessarily than race. Because you know, I mean, if you walking down Parkwood down Harris Road, would you feel comfortable?
Walking, I mean, because I'm from there, so yeah.
Okay. What about Walnut Hills?
Walnut Hills? It depends. Probably not.
Okay.
Probably not. I mean, because see, the places that we're talking about, I know the history of these places.
But is it because violence is going on?
I know what going on. I know what went down. You know what I'm saying? Because I was once one of the ones out there. Oh, you know, whatever. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, it's things like that. I mean, and it's not just here in Wilmington, it's all over the nation, from coast to coast.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, you go to certain places, I mean, it's like, nah, you better get up out of here. Like when I went to D.C., first time I went to D.C., everybody that I went to, stay out of Southeast, stay out of Southeast, don't go to Southeast, don't go to Southeast. But why I can't go to Southeast? It's supposed to be Chocolate City. It's supposed to be, I mean, you know, it's supposed to be, I mean, why can't I go to Southeast? You know what I'm saying?
You think it's because of the violence that goes on?
I mean, what else?
Yeah.
I mean, of course, but my question is, why is that? It wasn't that case years ago. Why is that the case now?
Drugs.
You know what I'm saying? Why is that the case now? What took us from being here to start to come down here?
That's a good question.
What took us from being united to now being separated amongst each other? You know what I'm saying? Like I said, I mean, we can talk about this stuff forever.
That's a whole new.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I mean.
But
because that division there was caused upon because the fact of, like you said, I mean, you talked back about the first people in Africa. You know what happened to the, you know, to bring it up because of the unity. Because I mean, it's the same thing with us. You know, they seen these group of people are starting to kind of make a force. We got to break that up. We got to cause some diversity. We can't let that happen. So we got to break this down.
Yeah.
So we got to turn them on each other and let them do the work.
Yeah, I think it's like a poverty-stricken areas where people don't have a legitimate way to make a living. And this is just my opinion. It really don't fucking matter. But I'm just going to share with you what I think. It's just if I'm born into a place where there's nothing, Like, there's no positive opportunities for me. Like, what am I going to turn to most likely? If all I see around me is drug dealers or people committing crimes, and that's all they have, that's the only way they see to make it. Like, what am I going to do?
But why is that the only way they see to make it?
I don't know, dude.
Why is that the only thing that they see?
I guess growing up and living there, and that's all they see.
But what makes it different here than here? You see what I'm saying? That's my thing. I mean, it makes no difference.
Yeah. You think it's a mentality or a money thing?
It's definitely a mentality thing. It's as we
Yeah,
go back to the
it's
beginning.
definitely like
It's like you said.
projects or low income mentality a lot.
Yeah.
You know, which, like I said, that's a whole nother thing. Talking about projects, low income housing, and because it's literally called projects because it was a project,
Right?
You know, and the project was shown to fail. You know, proven to fail. But yeah, there's a mentality, but it's also like it's so much
Yeah.
to unpack. But I mean, I would just say from what he was originally talking about of us then versus now, one of the biggest things I would say, it's just so much because it's like I feel like there's a lot of conspiracy to break up the black family, the black home.
Exactly.
But a lot of it was drugs, drugs that help. I mean, that's the biggest thing from you were talking about the end of the 60s, but in the 70s is when a lot of things start bringing in the influx of drugs in the community.
Yeah.
Which was a big. Then you got things like
Vietnam War.
Well, drugs break up families. I mean, that's well known. Like, drugs will break up your family.
And what's the government cheese? What is? I cannot think of words that was welfare. So you
That
start
was designed to.
Well, it's designed to make you dependent on somebody.
Yeah, but then you're dependent on it. But then they can kind of dictate how you live.
Right.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't have this man in your house,
Even though you the father of your children.
Yeah.
And if you're married,
yeah.
forget that. You get nothing.
Yeah,
But
dude.
there was a whole skit
Damn,
of
that's
something that's
crazy.
talking about that. Like there's a whole like loopholes. Like, so if I get married, then but she lose this. But if I this whole thing. So pretty much I can try to sneak here and live. But if I get busted, then this will happen. And it's just like this whole.
It's to separate families, dude.
And it's like,
and if you separate the family, then what?
Well, the family is your strongest. You're supposed to be your strongest bond.
Yeah.
Like, I'm supposed to give my life for you as my family, like, without thinking twice about it. So, like, them separating that, and it's not really a conspiracy because, I mean, that's what it is. Like, inevitably, like you're saying, if our family's together, we're not going to get government assistance. Like, you're just not going to get it. So try to play the system, but inevitably you're breaking your family up as well. So, yeah. No, I definitely agree. Like, drugs change people. Drugs change people, and fucking, I feel like welfare can be a good thing, but it's not most of the time for a lot of people. Like, it breaks up families. I agree with you 100%, dude. Yeah. So it's divide and conquer. Divide and conquer. That's always been the war mentality. Yeah. So first we divide you and then we conquer you. So anyway, yeah, we maybe we can talk about that next time. But I'm definitely
I mean, like I said, I'm down to talk about anything. I don't. Anybody I talk with, I mean, I tell them my views. Like I said,
we can talk about golf and baseball.
dude, I love baseball. Yeah, I love baseball. I'm so happy baseball.
You would.
I'm so happy baseball just started again.
You would love baseball.
Right.
Yo, have you seen LeBron James's new show, The Barbershop Show?
Clips.
It's fucking dope. It's dope. I like
yeah,
it.
well.
I like it a lot because he
I
talks.
like the concept though.
He talks about a lot of the issues that we. I mean, he's aware of a lot of shit going on, and it's cool.
He opened that.
He uses his platform for good.
He does.
LeBron uses his platform for good, and like unlike a lot
better than Michael Jordan does.
Yeah, for sure. But he actually has a lot of hip hop artists on the Barbershop Show. Like he had Vince Staples on there. He had.
Pretty sure he had 2 Chainz, didn't he? 'Cause
He had 2 Chainz. He had Snoop Dogg. He had Snoop Dogg on there.
I've seen that shit.
He had Drake on there because when Drake had the beef with Pusha T.
It's so dope how he explains that Kanye invited him over to his house and he got all the dirt. So Kanye invited Drake over to his house and got all the dirt on Drake and his child, and then turned around and told Pusha T everything.
But Pusha T said he didn't get, like, supposedly, this is way off. We can cut the cameras, but to talk about that. So he got, supposedly Pusha T got the information from 40, the producer's, like a girl that he was sleeping with.
40's Drake's producer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So he's like when Drake,
40 went with Drake to Kanye's house.
Yeah.
And 40 told Drake that he thought something was up. He's like, something's weird about this shit.
I would say the with album when Kanye placed the albums where he placed them, that probably had a lot to do with Drake. But now I don't know. I don't believe the information came from Kanye, because like Kanye stresses that he didn't tell Pusha, and Pusha says that, you know.
I don't know.
I mean,
last question. Last question. You gotta check it out. I think it's on HBO.
So you don't know the Drake had the beef?
I don't know about that, man.
What was the song? Because Pusha T came back and you talk about his son. He had a son. It was a good little rap.
Yo, if you check out LeBron James' show, Drake breaks it down and tells you exactly pretty much what happened.
Brooks and Dunn is on The Voice.
Brooks and Dunn?
Yeah.
Yo, last question before.
Is Little Nas X, is that country or not? Do you listen to country?
Oh man, are you talking about the dude that's like riding in my?
Is Colt Ford country? Is Georgia Boys country? Is
I
Cadillac
guess if you say your country, I guess. I don't know.
What do you consider? Do you listen to country?
Same thing.
I listen to like old shit, like George Jones, and I listen to like Hank Williams and Hank Williams Jr. and I listen to old shit. Like,
you don't like new country.
Yeah, I don't really listen to new country that much. But that song you're talking about is fucking hilarious. Are you talking about the one where he's like riding with my cowboy, riding on my tractor? That one, dude, that is hilarious, dude. Wade got on the phone the other day and put it on page and played that song, and I heard it in my office and I busted out laughing. But dude, if you say you're country and you're making music, I feel like you're country.
Well, Billboard doesn't. They took him out.
They took him out. Yeah.
Why would they do that?
They said it's not country.
What is it?
Instrumentation.
I don't know, but like I said, Georgia Boys country, Colt Ford's country.
It's the same thing as Colt Ford. It's the same thing as Colt. Dude, I thought it was Colt Ford when I heard it.
Right. I mean, so it's I don't get it, but
that's fucking retarded. All right, last question before we wrap it up. Mm-hmm. What do y'all think about Kanye wearing the Make America Great Again hat?
I don't want to say anything about Kanye one way. I don't want to promote him one way or the other.
Oh man, so we know how Louis T feels about it.
I concur. Because I just don't know.
Is this it?
Mm-hmm. But
sounds like country to me.
But yeah, I feel like he listening to him.
It sounds like hip hop though, a little bit hip hop and country.
It's trap. He called it trap. He classifies it as trap.
I like it,
country
dude.
Trap.
It's got a little more. Snare in it.
Like,
does it?
In the Jeep, it knocks hard.
Does it?
Yeah.
Dude, I like it. Yeah, we going out on that one. We appreciate y'all listening to the podcast. I appreciate you, Lewis, and I appreciate you, Terrell, for coming and talking to me, man. Taking time out of your day to get to know each other, and we get to know each other a little better and what we think about shit. I think that's dope.
Yeah, we need to do it more. I think need to do it more.
Yeah, you need more black people.
I need more.
On your podcast. Like
I need more flavor in this bitch, son.
I be seeing those same scary guys on here all the time, lifting weights and stuff. That one guy remind me of the guy from the program. I'm scared of him.
Tim? Is he talking about Tim Terrell?
Baby.
Bald headed dude with a beard?
Yeah. That guy.
You would like Tim, dude. You would like him.
That's the reason why I was like, man. When I asked Breeze, I was like, this is a setup. Like,
Breeze told me.
You be surprised.
These guys trying to, I see Alex and I guess Tim and their fatigues. I'm like,
you be surprised with Tim. He's too very, very smart. He's a smart man. And he has a lot of information when you sit down and talk. We used to sit at work and talk after we close, hours at a time. Just going back and forth conversation.
So do you like? Am I the only person on your podcast that don't work at, with you?
Nah. Are you talking about in recovery? You mean?
No.
Oh, you mean work at Ashley?
Yeah.
Oh,
I was trying to give your job free promo.
Nah, dude, you're good. I have all kinds of different people on here,
I'm
dude.
Just playing because you're saying that y'all work together.
That last dude I did a podcast with, I got two that I'm posting one now, but one of them I hadn't seen him in 15 years since we went to high school together. And he came and did a podcast with me, and the last time I saw him, he was trying to fight me.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and he was like twice my size, and I probably was running from him.
So, but you said it hadn't posted yet, so it's not the big guy, not the guy that put the tongue on it guy.
It's that's the one. That's the one that I went to high school with, and I hadn't seen him in 15 years, and worked for the Department of Defense. Wouldn't talk about it, though. Wouldn't say anything about it. Top secret shit. But yeah, make sure you check out Wilmington on Fire. Google it, WilmingtonOnFire.com. You can order copies of the documentary. I know it's rough. A lot of people don't still have DVDs, but you can get the DVD. Or I know they do screening, like Chris Everett. He does screenings all over. Make sure you check me out on my podcast and other like interviews and stuff that I do. You can just search IMOLT YouTube for all the content. But pretty much any other platform, IMOLT podcast on Instagram, Inquisitive Mind of Lewis T on Facebook. But if you search IMOLT, it should bring it up. Got some good stuff. Like I said, I got an interview with Chris Everett, the director of Wilmington on Fire. And then episode 6 of the podcast, him and some other people I got on the podcast. So... but yeah, with the interview, and we talk about a lot of things on the documentary, and a lot of stuff. If you're like a fan of trigger warnings, like with Killer Mike, check it out, Netflix.
I feel like it's kind of, and it's funny. We did that interview like 2 years ago, but a lot of stuff that's on his TV show, I feel like even you said that we cover it, and I was like, man,
Killer Mike, where you at? We need you on IMOLT podcast, son. What's up with that? Killer Mike, get your ass down here to where's he from? Georgia? Get your ass up here to North Carolina, Killer Mike. Dude, that show's dope.
Yeah.
I like his show a lot. Yeah. Submitted my podcast to iTunes. Waiting on them to approve it.
Nice.
Or disapprove it.
Yeah.
Who knows?
I definitely got to get my streaming.
I got my T-shirts on my website for sale now too, which is cool. Yeah. So
I put my T-shirts on my website.
Yeah, dude. Hell yeah. I feel like we're on our way up, dude.
Oh, down.
We're on our way up.
Yeah.
We're on our way up. I got blinders on, homie.
Going up, man.
Fuck the bullshit.
As long as you keep moving forward, I mean,
I enjoy it. I mean,
but y'all can catch me at your local McDonald's.
No, don't eat McDonald's. And don't go to Waffle House.
We can sit down and have a podcast right there. No mics, no cameras, just one-on-one conversation. You also catch me on Sunday mornings at church. I'm right here, right around Wilmington. I'm in the minivan. You can see me any given time. Just pull me over. We can start on the side of the street. Love all of y'all. Have a good night.
That's the dopest plug I've ever heard in my life. Thank y'all for listening to episode 60 of the Hunt for Greatness podcast.